Welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour Live. Interviews with the biggest names in American rugby.
The New England Free Jacks, Major League Rugby champions. One-on-one to score.
Here are your hosts, Bill Baker and that other guy.
Hey everybody, welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour Live. I am Bill Baker. This is John Fitzpatrick. And we are the No, I've already tried that line once before. We are the Wild Stallions. Anybody? Reference there? Okay.
That went over my head.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Venture. Bill and John's.
I should have known that.
Yeah, I'm older than you and our guest later today. Anyway, Fitzy, man, good to see you. How are you? I know we had a week off last week, and a good week for you to take off. It sounds like.
Yeah, I got COVID for like the second or third time. This one really knocked me down a little bit. I thought I was invincible, but I guess Mother Nature had other ideas. But I'm back, baby. I'm feisty today. Yeah.
Nice. Well, don't fight with our guest because let's see you did that with that.
He lives too close. I've done 95.
He's going to drive about 40 miles towards you and knock on your door and say, "What did you say to me last night?" No. Well, man, I'm really happy you're feeling better. I had the same thing a couple weeks ago. And yeah, it's never a good thing, but we're healthy again. We're back. We're normal. We're on the show. We're back with US Rugby Happy Hour Live, and we have a great guest tonight. We're going to get to in a little bit. Malacchi Esdale, I'm not going to say former USA Sevens, but USA 7 player who's now going to be playing with Seattle Seawolves back to MLR in 15. So we'll talk to him about that in a few minutes. But Fitzy, I want to talk about a couple of things real quick. USA men are obviously in Japan right now. They lost to Japan last weekend. You watched the match, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think about their loss to Japan? What was your impression of that match? Losses are never great, but was it that bad for USA? Was it actually a good performance?
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth, right? Because this Pacific Nations Cup, there's no Rugby World Cup qualification on the line. That starts next year. So some would say this is an opportunity to introduce some new players, right? And Scott Lawrence has done that in a little bit, but you can't just be completely throw the new guys on there. You know, you got to have some of the veterans show them the way. This is how you be an Eagle. This is how you prepare. This is how you play. And big tests, right? Like, got to beat Canada, of course. Mm-hmm. Japan's a quality side. It's what we aspire to get up to, right? They're certainly a model. Right. Fiji this Saturday is going to be tough. So I knew going into it was going to be some tall tasks, ahead of them. And, there were moments there against Japan where it was looking pretty good. But then there were other moments where you could tell that, just step behind or something's just not clicking quite yet. But there were, look, we were down by a try with, 60 minutes into it or so. So it was a competitive game.
And my impression of that was I was a little frustrated at first because Japan's speed was so much faster than USA's. It felt like USA's defense was on their heels too often. Japan was way too quick with recycling the ball, with restarts and catching USA's defense unaware, let's say. And I feel like they did a good job at halftime. Scott Lawrence, perhaps in the conversation with the team, to figure out how to play them better in the second half. And it did turn out better in the second half. And obviously, Japan had a couple more tries in there. But I was okay with the performance. I thought Ruben De Haas looked really good at scrum half, despite not playing for a long time. He's been not 100% with the Cheetahs down in South Africa. So it's good to see him back at number 9. And even his reserve did really well also. So, and the guy that really, 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 really impressed me was Jama, Fernando Schultz. Yeah. He had a fantastic game. And at least for me, for Eagles Overseas, I really hope he goes overseas and plays for a premiership team. It may not happen, but I would love to see that happen. Yeah. Going forward, you mentioned Fiji. Fiji beat Wales in the 23 World Cup or leading up to it, prior to the World Cup. And then they beat Australia in the World Cup, but then lost to Portugal. So what Fiji side are we going to see this Saturday morning in the United States against USA? Is it the one that lost to Portugal, or is the one that beat Australia and Wales last year? So who knows? And I love Fiji. Like other than USA, Fiji is one of my favorite teams. I love the way they play the game. I do feel like they're going to wreak some havoc on the American defense because the way they have ball in hand, the way they pass, offloads are amazing. If you think about it, Fitzy, there's less than 1 million people in Fiji. And if you look at it when they beat Australia, there's 25 million people in Australia. So it's like, and these are rugby nations. Australia's a rugby nation. So, I felt it. I felt extremely proud only because I played with Fijians in my days. Not that I'm Fijian by any means, but I like it, and honestly, I'm going to actually give it to you right now. Do you think USA has a chance of beating Fiji this weekend?
Well, I will say the side that Fiji's going to run out against the U.S. isn't going to be the side that, would be their regular World Cup side, right? That's a given. But I did watch the match they played against Tonga last weekend, and that first half, it was close. Now, Fiji did have a discipline issue. The one guy went off with a yellow, then it was upgraded to a red, so they were down for 20 minutes there. But Tonga played pretty well, kept close in that first half. But then Fiji ran away with it in the second half when they buckled down and realized, this is not a game that we should be losing. So my hope is that the first 20 minutes is really key for the U.S., not letting that scoreline get too ugly too quickly, right? And maybe not trying to match Fiji in their style of play, right? Like the Fijians play a certain way, and it's nearly impossible to try and go toe-to-toe with them, just the dynamic offloads and the ball always staying alive. So try and stay to their game, but be physical with the team. I mean, like you said it, Yema, let's run this guy and let's kick it out to the wings. Let's try and be dynamic, but it's going to be hard to run with Fiji like that. So let's not try and play that game where it's going to might get ugly quickly, but we'll see.
Yeah, and a quick note about the Japan match. Nate Oxberger, I've always loved him, and perhaps our guest a little while for now will enjoy him as well, being a wing player. But that little move he made off of the pass from from Ruben de Haas, a little cut inside and out or out and in, it's like basically the equivalent of an ankle breaker in baseball, like that curve ball that just that was just a great little move. I don't know if Fiji. I think Fiji's more punishing in that fact. It's like if Nate does that, he might still get hit. He may still score, but he's going to feel it. Right. So with that said, I mean, I love that play. And I said earlier about Jama having a great game in Japan. And then hopefully USA, I just want them to be competitive against any team, Fiji or anywhere else. So win or lose, if we're in this match, I'll be happy. A win would be even bigger because there is all this dumb talk on social media everywhere else, like how should USA still be hosting the 31 World Cup? Well, that's
absurd. Yeah,
it's down the road. And quickly, let's pivot real quick before we get to our guests. Let's talk MLR really fast. Chicago has a new head coach.
Yeah,
the Hounds, Chris Latham from assistant coach from Seattle, which our guest is going to soon. Australian legend, a 3-year deal too. That's great, and I'm excited about this. And he's got a lot of backing, and Fitzy, I think Chicago could be the real deal. In at least a year, maybe 2. I think they could be one of the strongest teams in the league, along with Seattle, New England, San Diego. I really think they're going to be right up there with them. Not just because of Chris, the new signing, but just something about this team, something about the backing of fans in Chicago. It's just such a great rugby town. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's everything there that would support a great MLR franchise, and I hope it happens, right? Just to kind of bolster the community there in the Midwest. Chicago, they nearly put it together last year. They made a run to the playoffs. But kudos to Chicago for signing with Latham, and we'll see come January, February when training camp rolls around, just what that team looks like.
Absolutely. All right. Listeners, do us a favor. Follow, and subscribe to this show, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or you're listening to the podcast replay. We do appreciate it. We want to share the show with all your friends, with everyone we know here in the United States or in abroad as well. We do get listeners from around the world. I believe we had someone in Ukraine last week listen to one of our shows, and hopefully they're safe. Also, follow us on social media at Eagles Overseas and at Rugby Morning, and as well as our websites, eaglesoverseas.com and rugbymorning, I believe.com. And now let's get on to our guests. Joining us tonight, newly signed Seattle Seawolves wing. Let's go with Malacchi Esdale. Hey, Malacchi, how are you?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. And Fitzy, sorry to hear about the COVID. That's a pain in the ass. So I had it 4 times. I feel your pain. Yeah.
4 times. Oh.
Now, when you had it, were you in the middle of a training block, or were you in?
It was the same time 4 years in a row, Christmas. I'm pretty sure I gave it to my entire family every year.
Stay away from all those people every year.
Everyone's like, well, we know what gift we're going to get from Malacchi this year.
Malacchi, I read your USA Rugby bio said you're referred to as Mal by friends and teammates. Can we call you Mal? We're not teammates.
By all means.
Okay, good.
I'm on the podcast. We're friends.
All right, good. Woo, woo. Just keep COVID to yourself. We're not that close friends. All right, so Malacchi, let's get into it. Let's talk sevens for a bit before we start talking Seattle Seawolves. And we're going to back up for a second. You were the traveling reserve for the 21 Tokyo Olympics. Did you actually play in any of the HSBC stops prior to that?
No, that was that didn't count as a cap, but that was my first tour with the actual Eagles team. That wasn't on home soil. We had no official HBSC stops, but we did do the Quest for Gold in LA, where we played Japan, Argentina, GB, and I think Korea. So that was my first action before the Olympics. Yeah.
I know Fitz, you're going to go here next year, but I was going through some of your Instagram videos, and I remember going back. I actually saw this video a few years ago when this happened, and when I saw it again, it just clicked. It's like, okay, I know who this guy is. Well, I know, familiar with you, obviously. You posted a video of yourself reading a letter from your mother. And I remember it was like yesterday. I feel like, and soon after you wrote I wrote a similar letter to my daughter going to college, academics, obviously, but playing collegiate soccer. Dude, the tears, I actually was watching it again. I still teared up again, but then my daughter was telling me when she read it, she was tearing up also, this whole thing. And I sent her that video of yours years ago, and it came back again. It just clicked. It's like, oh my God, this is great. And so the dad mentioned all that. I mean, holy, you know what? I mean, I don't know. Was that the first time you read that letter was on that video, or is that maybe you did it once before? Because you still teared up a little bit. You choked up.
Oh yeah, no, I was choked up. I got a little choked up just thinking about it.
Yeah.
No, that was the first time that I had seen that letter. I know my mom, they had reached out to my mom before, and they had told her to write something special. So I had kind of known that I was going to be receiving something. But seeing the words and reading it out loud and being in the dark lit room, and it was and just the whole experience and the opportunity to represent my country. It was pretty overwhelming. I was overwhelmed with emotion. I was trying my hardest to not just bawl my eyes out. So yeah, it was an amazing feeling, amazing experience, and that's awesome that you did that for your daughter, and she probably was feeling the same way I was. It was awesome.
Okay, let's move to the most recent Paris Olympics here. Officially Olympian. Congratulations. We can see the sweatshirt. You're going to get the Olympic rings tattoo?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah. I got to go with one of my teammates or something. We got to link up and get it together because I'm kind of scared of tattoos. Scared of needles.
Blame me. But, I guess, did you ever think in your wildest dreams that one day you would be a U.S. Olympian?
No, I did not. Absolutely not. I think the first time it kind of became a real thing was 2016 when it was inducted into the Olympics. I saw it on TV, Perry Baker, who I got to play with, which is absolutely mind-blowing. But that was right around the time where I was getting into my rugby journey, in the meat of it. So that's kind of what it was on my map. I didn't think I would ever reach this level. It took so much, hard work and dedication and just locking in and focus. So just happy to be there, really, to experience the whole thing was unbelievable. And my family was there as well, so that just made it even better.
Yeah, and what was it like for you to be named to the Olympic squad, right? Because as we talked earlier, the previous Olympic, the one there in Tokyo, which was 2020, but then spent it to 21 or whatever that was. What was your mindset going into the Paris one? I need to be on this roster. I need to be one of the 12 or 13 guys that are traveling there. What in your mind got you through those 3 years to say, this is something that I need to check off?
I think the 2021 Olympics just left the taste in my mouth, and I was like, I need the real thing, So that definitely was a driving force. But, I talked to so many people, like, leading up to that selection, and everybody I talked to was, like, before I got announced, congrats, like, congrats on making the team. I'm like, the team has not been announced yet. I was way more nervous than the 2021 selection just because, you never know. And, yeah, when my name got announced, I broke down again because I was just so amped up about it. And, you put in so much time, like, in the 3-year buildup, and so much hard work that, when your name's called, it's just like an overwhelming flood of emotion. So yeah, it was everything.
And I noticed on your again Instagram post, you posted some really cool videos going to the Paris or at Paris. You ate it up. I mean, were you able to calmly take it all in, or was it maybe shit? We need to perform tomorrow. Stress.
It was a combination of both, and it was like hitting me in waves.
Yeah.
So obviously, like the selection that hits you, and I call my mom, my wife. Then the travel preparation, getting on the plane, that hits you. You get to the HBC, you're with you see all the Olympic rings and the USA banners and the other Olympic athletes, just the USA athletes. So that hits you. Then you get your kit, which was unbelievable experience.
Oh, yeah.
So it just kept hitting you in waves, and then it finally like really hit me that I was at the Olympics when I was running out of the tunnel against France in an 80,000 packed stadium, and yeah, it was all real.
Now, how did you feel to us as viewers, it was odd that unfortunately you were done even before the opening games happened. Did you feel that at all, that you were done part of that, or still just involved in that whole bubble of the Olympics? Did it change anything?
I don't think it changed anything for us playing wise, just because the stadium was 80,000 deep. It was jumping, man, which is amazing. Like, I think France to have a Rugby Sevens World Cup in Paris was amazing. Like, they couldn't have picked a better spot. Like, they are fanatics about their rugby. They were just coming off the World Cup. DuPont's playing in it as well, so we weren't really affected. I think maybe some of the other sports might have been a little bit affected just because it technically didn't start. But no, we were feeling all the energy. That it was great. Yeah, I didn't notice.
Well, if I remember correctly, was it you or the women opened up against France? Was it you?
Yeah, it was us. Yeah. So we drew to France 12.
Yeah, that's a huge stadium. I mean, you played in front of some big crowds, say LA Sevens or wherever else, but that was different. That was, the home crowd cheering for, let's face it, DuPont.
Right.
So, and you came off the bench late in that match. I couldn't even fathom. I played in front of 1,000 people once, and I was amazed by it.
Yeah. That was crazy. You couldn't hear yourself think.
Yeah,
right,
sorry about that match real quick. Yeah, because we had Mike Friday on a couple of weeks ago, and we talked a little bit about the France match, right, and just about how the points were tabulated for the Olympic Games versus, right, like an HB Sevens game, right? So like you guys drew with, or you kicked out to reserve the draw and get the 2 table points, which were huge. It was the absolute right decision because be able to advance to get to the quarterfinals. But like I guess during like the 7th circuit, Mike was saying we probably would have played on to try and win, knowing that we could have lost there. I guess, like in your mind, the team, was that kind of the game plan, knowing that like if we're tied at a certain point and the game is, the time is off and we can get those 2 points by ending in a draw, even though we might not like it, it's against our competitive instinct. We're just gonna do it because it's the right thing to do. Was that something that was made kind of like that, or was that pre-advanced, I suppose?
100%. Yeah, it was made known. Like, we need to get the points. Like, the points do matter. So the strategy does have to change from the series, because in the series you play on. There are no draws, so you want to play on. And trust me, every bone in my body was like, let's play, like just get the ball out. But you do have to be a little bit more strategic. And it ended up, working out for us. It could have gone the complete opposite way if we chose to play. So we needed all the points we could get, and it ended up working out for us.
One or 2 more questions here before we move on to 15s. Were you guys able to be there for the women's bronze medal match at all?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you were there as fans. Well, more than fans, obviously, but we had Emily Bidwell on, and also Ari Ramsey on as well, and their impression obviously was holy. Again, it was just everything happened so fast. But from your perspective in the stands or the sidelines, talk about that moment and how you were going, what did we just see?
Yeah, it was insane. It was another emotional moment in Paris for me as well. So happy and proud of them. Like, they worked their asses off. So I actually watched the France and Fiji final, and in my opinion, that the stadium was rocking way more for the USA, the women's score. Yeah, the bronze medal match. It was crazy. It was unbelievable to watch.
All right, here we go. So you're leaving sevens, going to 15s, back to 15s. Sorry, not going to 15s. Mike Friday's leaving as well. Is there any connection to that, or is it just a coincidence that you're also going to 15s?
I think it was just a coincidence. We did kind of sit down, so I didn't know that he was leaving. And he asked me, what do you want to do? I'm sure there's prospects for you. There was the beginning of the 2023 season, I was getting some offers as well. I wasn't sure if I wanted to compete in the next Olympics. I was getting a lot of overseas and surprisingly NRL and league offers.
Wow.
Yeah, and super league. It's just a coincidence. But I think it was just kind of the direction I saw my career taking. So,
yeah.
Now, when you look back over your career with the USA men's sevens, I mean, there's probably a flood of great memories. But if I ask you, what are some of your funnest memories? What springs to mind immediately for you?
Damn. My immediate is probably Hong Kong. I scored a game-winning try against Australia, I believe. That was insane. It was in the South Stands at the Hong Kong Stadium. I don't know if you've ever been there or experienced that.
Yeah. We've heard a little bit.
I didn't get any piss thrown on me. But nah, that stadium, the atmosphere is great. The last stop was this past year. They're changing it to a different stadium. Mm-hmm. Very nice, brand new stadium. But yeah, that stadium has so much character and history, and the fans really get up for it. So that's probably one of my favorite personal memories. Team memories was the first medal that we won in, I believe it was Cape Town. The first bronze we won with me on the team. That was pretty special. A couple guys went down. A lot of people stepped up. The young guys were getting vetted still. I think we proved a lot to the older guys and the coaches and stuff, and got the job done. So that was probably my favorite memory. It was a good team win. Yeah.
Now, is sevens done for you? Is that door always open? Just cracked a little bit.
Here's the question.
As of right now, I'm focusing on 15s. A goal of mine, a lofty goal, but something that I'm striving to do is World Cup squad. That's what I'm aiming for. Every time I step on the field and enter a competition, I'm trying to strive to be the best and best in my position. And the opportunity to represent my country, I feel like, is the highest platform to do so. So that's what I'm striving for. And, I want to give my full focus to the game of 15s. I mentioned earlier I got some league offers, so I kind of played around with the idea of playing league. It looks like a very fun game.
They pay good money too.
Yeah, they do. But no, I had the thought and the and kind of, I guess, the dream to play 15s and represent the country. And I thought that was something that I really wanted to give a full go towards and see that through. So I'm going to give my full effort towards, pursuing 15s and making this career as good as possible. Sevens, it's on the back burner. It's never out of the question. It's a great game, and I love it. And it's given so much to me. So, it's always got a place in my heart, and, you never know what can happen.
A different kind of fitness.
Different. It is crazy different. Yeah. Borderline insane.
Well, Malacchi, we just, as Fitz just mentioned, returning to the 15s. You did play with Houston Sabercats in their inaugural season in 18 and further, just signing with the Seattle Seawolves. Can you take us through your thought process as you began to evaluate moving from 7s to 15s? I know you mentioned league and whatever else, but talk about that process about leaving 7s and going towards Seattle Seawolves.
Yeah, of course. So in this process, I think it was first, reach the Olympics. I thought about it. I thought about leaving 7s before, and I was like, and I technically I'd already made an Olympics, so I was like, did I get that fix? I did not get that fix, so I really wanted to make this year's Olympic team, and compete for a medal. We obviously fell short of that goal, but I got there in the end, and it was a very long, and hard grind for these past 4 years in the 7s program. So I thought it was just time for the next step in my career, and I'm a huge fan of USA Rugby and the development of US Rugby in the US. I had a couple of other interests in Pro D2 teams and stuff like that, but I am like such a huge fan of the MLR. Like, it's insane. I think it's got so much room for growth, and it's improved so much since I first started in the MLR, and the potential is insurmountable, I think. And I think it's headed in the right direction. The talent has improved, the coaching has improved, the facilities, everything like that has improved. So I'm a huge fan of the MLR, and also it's good that I do get to play domestically. I'm a big family guy. My family gets to watch me play. With the 7 series, it was a lot of international stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One stop in LA, the family, is living on the East Coast. They couldn't always make it to the game, and they always, ask me how I'm doing overseas. I'm sending them games, and it's like 2 a.m. for them, so they can't even watch it on TV. So, part of me does it for them, and the fact that they weren't able to really watch. And I think I would have ran into that in France as well if I was playing over there or somewhere overseas. That's not the entire reason why I made the decision, but it is a pretty big part for me, and I want them to get to experience that and watch me play, and I want to experience it as well and having them in the stand. So I think that was a pretty big factor in the decision. Yeah.
Well, let's hope Seattle actually plays at DC this year.
Yeah.
We can have a whole Strata family section. Fitzy, make that happen. So let's talk about Seattle Seawolves. What was the pitch from Seattle, or head coach Alan Clark to get you signed? Was it free Starbucks? Was it alt rock concert tickets? I don't know if you've been to a match there before, but all kidding aside, their fan experience, the crowd is amazing. So what was the pitch for them?
So he didn't have to pitch me much, but I watch them all the time, and I thought they were a really good side. We had several conversations, just catching up about stuff, and he's asked me questions. I pick his brain about stuff. I like the way that they attack, which is pretty big for me. I also, every time I played Seattle when I was with Houston, I remember those fans, and they were crazy.
Yeah,
that's one of the best, domestic fan bases, in my opinion, for sure. Yeah. So, I think their attack and offense definitely fit the way that I play, and he made mention that he wanted to, utilize my strength and speed on the outside backs and potentially, even lining me up at 13 outside center, which I played for a little bit within in Houston as well. So, I think they play like a pretty expansive game and a fast-paced rugby. So, and the forwards are hard carriers, good with the ball as well. So, everything was just kind of enticing. We just kind of worked out the details, and it seemed like a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned, man, you're joining a team that made the MLR final last year. They got some established backline players. There's Cap Deagle or two in that mix, Lopetti being one of them. But it sounds like, are you excited for the opportunity to basically jump in and compete for minutes on a high performing team, essentially?
Yeah, absolutely. I think As I mentioned, I'm a huge fan of MLR. I think that the top teams in MLR can compete with some of the other leagues in the world, and Seattle's one of them. So I'm like super excited to learn from all those guys, get the chance to compete, and hopefully win some hardware. They've been in the semifinal, like pretty much every year since the inception. So yeah, I put myself in a good situation.
So I guess it was interesting, right? So like Seattle makes sense, right? It's a great fan base. It is on the other side of the country, but given that you're a big fan of MLR, and given the fact the development of USA Rugby, like why not say a team like Anthem, right, or closer to home to like DC or Miami, with that Florida connection. I'd imagine when MLR clubs found out that you were moving to 15s, I'm sure a couple of MLR GMs probably picked up that phone and was like, get Malachi's cell phone. We need to talk to him. So were other MLR clubs interested, or were you just focused on Seattle?
Yeah, there were a few. I think I did talk to a lot of the coaches and the owners and stuff. And I don't know, the conversations I had with Clarkie were just kind of different. They just made more sense. I think we were both on the same page as, with what we were thinking and how I would fit in and everything like that. And then also like the game planning and their attack and everything. So I kind of went through like all the checks to see like, which pros and cons, which one makes the most sense. And they kind of just felt like the right choice in that moment. And it is on the opposite coast. But, hopefully my fans can get out to see some games.
Well, Connor Mooneyham is left to go to Anthem. Did that have anything to do with your decision at all? Because he's been pretty strong in their wing. I know you talked about maybe doing center as wing as well, but was that anything for you?
No, I actually didn't know he was leaving. I was looking forward to sharing the pitch with him potentially. Yeah. I think he's an awesome player. I've watched his journey as well, and he's a good recovery story. From his injury, he bounced back really strong. So I was looking forward to playing with him, but unfortunately, he's gone. And I'm sure he's going to rip it up in Anthem, and now I'm excited to play again.
Anthem, yeah. And you're right. And he's had a tough go of it. Drafted number 1 a number of years ago, and he's finally healthy and proving himself worthy. He's had some great matches, USA. And speaking of health and fitness, have you thought about your workout program? Maybe your muscle gaining, whatever else, because obviously, as you know, it's different than 7s. So have you started maybe, okay, this is what I need to do, or are you like going to Taco Bell a couple more times before you have to start again?
So I played college football. And, So I'm vegan. So when I started, So when I started,
well, it's not real meat at Taco Bell. We've heard that story.
It is not. It is not.
Wait, what?
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it counts. No, but so when I was playing college football, I had was running into the same issue. I was like pretty skinny. I was lean, very strong, but just didn't have enough like cushion. So I would eat honey buns in my dorm room. I would eat like a whole case of honey buns. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but I definitely know how to put on some weight when I need to. But yeah, the workouts I'm just gonna work out the same, just eat more. Yeah.
So I want to go on this real quick, Malachi, because there's been some other well-known athletes who are vegans. I think the one that immediately comes to mind to me is the great Houston Texans running back from a few years back, Arian Foster. I believe he was a vegan. So as you hear about high-performing athletes, right? Like they work out a ton, so they need to bring calories back in, right? And it's easy to load in calories on stuff that's like dense, like meat. And this is where my ignorance comes in on health. So check me on this. But so when it comes time to, make sure you're getting enough calories into your body and proteins and stuff, like, is it legumes? Is it beans? Like how, or is it like, educate me on this, right? For a high performing athlete who needs to be able to bring in high quality calories, like, how many vegetables and stuff are you eating? It's more than vegetables, right? Like,
it is a lot of vegetables, but it is more than vegetables.
Okay,
it's actually crazy. So I come from an Italian and Jamaican family, and meat is very much in the both of those diets. So it's kind of a hard transition. And when I go home, my family, they're giving me shit the whole time. But I try to just so my wife and I, we actually cook a lot, and we also owned a vegan market while we were living in farmers market. So we ran like a farmers market in San Diego. Yeah, so we would get a lot of food from them, and we learned a lot from them as well, like how to cook different stuff. So they were cooking like freaking Greek food, Mexican food, Indian food, like all types of stuff. Like I had never even heard of until I met all these people. So yeah, we get creative with it, but I'm like big on pasta and just like a red sauce, some vegan like diet cheese or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, carbs, protein. I eat a lot of veggies, beans, nuts, smoothies. Protein smoothies are like the vegan whey protein. So yeah, I get it in. I just had to eat like a little bit more. And then, have you ever had like the Impossible meats?
Yeah, I've actually tried it. Yeah, it's surprisingly good.
Yeah. So this is like my cheat meal. I don't know if anyone knows this, but Burger King has an Impossible vegan Whopper, and it is fire. It's so good. So yeah, that's like my cheat meal. If I'm like, damn, I need some bad food.
What's the bun made of?
The bun is made of regular bun.
I mean, it's like, okay, right? Yeah, yeah.
I don't think they use I don't think
no dairy.
In there. Yeah. And then so like the mayonnaise I think is like the non-vegan topping. Yeah. So they have vegan mayonnaise that they use specifically for that burger.
So how long have you been vegan? You know, I mean, you talk about playing football and college football, trying to Miami and moving to Central Florida, rugby, whatever else. Have you been vegan for a long time?
So I started in like 2014. So damn, it's been like 10 years. Wow. On and off though. So there was a time where I folded. I was getting so much shit from my family that I just like I can't deal with it. So I folded for like a year, and then gradually went back to vegetarian and then vegan fully. So sometimes I have cheat days. I have like a freaking mozzarella stick or something, but it's mostly plant-based vegan diet.
You won't tell anybody. Yeah. but I mean, that's gotta be tough. I mean, I'm intrigued by this because diet's important to everybody, but it's got to be really tough, especially you going to Paris. You're doing stops at HSBC. I mean, you don't have a dietitian with you, obviously. So it must be difficult.
So we have a nutritionist that travels with us. Yeah, Jackie. So she will actually email the chefs at the venue, at the hotels and stuff, and make sure that they kind of like cater to, because there's a couple like vegetarian people and some people that have diet restrictions. So they do get special requests from time to time. So she does like a really good job of like letting them know, like, oh, there's a tree hugging grass eater coming. It's like, make sure you got food for them. They do a good job on tour, but it is tough. Like in Paris, especially the European countries where there's just like fucking cow legs in the store windows and stuff. Like, yeah, they're not. It's crazy, but they do a good job. And the Olympics was amazing with it. They had options for everybody.
You didn't have that chocolate muffin that everyone was talking about, did you? You're like, everyone's like, I can't do it. You're like,
I didn't. I had like freaking 500 croissants though.
Oh. It's funny. I text my wife, what's for dinner tonight? She says, whatever I fucking making. Anyway, one or two more questions for you, Malacchi. I know we said only about a half an hour here, but this has been a lot of fun. Let's talk about the future again, okay? You mentioned earlier about USA Eagles future, so let's go over that again. Your goal, I'm assuming, isn't just playing well for Seattle. It's going further. Obviously, you got a taste of playing at that level internationally, sevens and around the world. I'm going to assume 27 World Cup possibly is what you're shooting for the 15. So talk about that. What are your goals with USA with 15s rugby?
Yeah, I want to just earn a spot to compete for a spot. Make a camp and just start my way from the bottom. And I kind of have to start at phase one now, which is considering like my career, I did with the sevens. So I'm gonna just have to graft from the bottom up again, and obviously I have 15s experience, but it's been a couple of years since I played. So first and foremost, I just want to focus on my season with Seattle, earn a spot in camp, and then graft my way up. Yeah. Pretty simple. It's worked for me before, so I figure I can do
it. You've gone down that path before successfully. So, I guess just related to that question, have you had conversations with the men's 15 staff? Like, are you on their radar as someone that, we got to keep an eye on Malacchi now that he's back in 15s?
I've had a couple phone calls with Scott Barnes, so he definitely knows I'm interested, and he knows my goals, and we had a conversation, and at the end of it, he kind of let me know like he appreciates me, explaining all this, and being clear with my intentions and everything like that. So he knows it's like something that I really want, and I'm pretty hungry for it. But now I have to put in the work regardless. So it doesn't matter what the conversation we had. I still have to prove myself and have a successful 15th career.
This is a stupid question, so you can ignore it if you want. If Scott goes, Malacchi, you can be on the team, but you have to eat this ham.
No. God, this is one of those, a lamb leg or something.
I'm eating that shit. Just one.
All right.
Yeah, just a tiny little bit. You can just have a little bite. You can
Don't tell anybody. You know what? I don't know how we can top that. Let's just end it right now.
He's like, get me out of here.
Yeah, exactly. No, seriously, Malacchi, this has been a blast talking to you. We've been following you for a bit also with the USA Sevens team, and enjoyed watching you play, and you enjoyed it with the group, with Perry Baker, Mike Friday, all of them. And we're so excited to get you on the show today and talk about sevens and upcoming 15s again. So when you come through New England, hopefully Seattle does this year, I'll find you after the game. When you go through DC, Fitz will be at home with his family, probably not at the game. Just kidding. He'll be there. Look him up. But we want to say hello to you in person. So thanks again for coming on the show, Malacchi. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me, and I look forward to meeting you both in person.
Yeah, remember, I'm an XL. He's a medium. Anyway, we're not too proud. Anyway, Malacchi, thanks again. Good luck with Seattle, and seriously, good luck with them, and good luck with your future goals. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
You too. Bye bye. Oh yeah, man. Just these guys are great, and he's a good guy. Like we might have had the most swears ever on a 35-minute show or 40-minute show.
You started it.
I did.
You dropped the F-bomb. I'm like, oh man, we're crossing the Rubicon.
I did. Well, I meant to also because it was a reason for it. I think I forget what it was.
Well, I mean, back to Malacchi for a second. I mean, if we talk about future like wings that US needs, as some of the veterans start to age out, he's got the size and the speed that you want for an international test wing, and someone who could also play outside center. Like that versatility, that's coveted. So it excites me when I saw that Seattle announced that they had signed Malacchi. I was like, oh, men's Eagles is next. Like he's got to earn a spot on Seattle. He's got to play well. Scott Lawrence obviously has had conversations with them. Like those are all awesome signs. So I'm excited to see where his 15's career goes over the next couple of years.
And I wonder if Seattle was a choice because of USA Rugby, let's say, because he needs to play on a higher end side. And it's no disrespect to say Miami or to NOLA or Dallas, but a side that has a high end coach in Clarkey that has some quality players. So I wonder if that was part of it. And originally when we were doing our notes, I thought, okay, Mooneyham's gone. I wonder if he says, spots for me. But that wasn't the situation at all. So, yeah, I bet you that was part of it.
I mean, there's a couple Eagles, right? There's JP Smith there. There's Lepetti there. I mean, Futi, I think is part of he's been identified as the larger group. He's there. Obviously, Ricker Hadding for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, and former Eagles, like I don't know if not Samoa.
The Hitman.
I mean, I don't know if he's around anymore, but Joe Taufete, those guys are there. So it's
Andrew Duratalo was playing a little bit still too.
Duratalo, he was playing until he was like 52 years old, I think.
How cool was that?
I might be playing in 2 weeks, by the way, in a Legends match.
Really?
Yeah, down in Atlanta, old 50th anniversary for the club down there. So I said, only if there's 35 subs.
Yeah, basically.
Rolling subs every 4 minutes. Let's go in a 10-minute halves. Anyway, Yeah, good. Those are good guys. I'm looking forward to seeing how Malacchi does in the future. And and the good thing when you and I have him on these shows, not him, but people like him, I feel like I'm more aware of these guys after talking to them and keeping an eye on them, and maybe even draft them in the next MLR draft. Fantasy picks.
I think he may go high. He's already on the list.
He can play multiple positions, so that's good too. All right, John, great stuff. Listeners, again, please like, follow, and subscribe to this show, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever, and also on the podcast. Share it with your friends. Let's get more and more listeners out here. Follow us on social media at Eagles Overseas and at Rugby Morning. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.